'cause this is Africa.
All right. Welcome to week 2 of the 2018-2019 PML podcast season. It is a special soccer edition with us having finished our first draft of the year. Who do we have with us tonight?
No one, apparently.
I'm alone.
The only people who care about soccer in the group. So, Wick, Kevin, and Preston.
I am so excited.
Kev, is this your first time on the podcast?
It's my first time on the podcast. I've listened to many podcasts, but this is the first time I have graced the internet airwaves, so to speak.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Exactly.
How long did you prep for tonight?
Oh, I didn't have to prep. I know my stuff.
All right, let's get into it. I guess let's start with Kevin and Preston. Do you guys have any last-minute 2018 Summit feedback?
Go ahead.
I mean, it was good. I'm kind of just now realizing that the three of us managed to pull a dark hood over the entire league and force them to do English Premier League. I actually don't know how that even happened. I don't remember who we got to agree with us. I don't remember who we tricked, but I'm just now realizing we're actually doing this, and 7 out of the 10 of us probably don't.
Let the record show
what's going on.
Let the record show I was actually not campaigning for this league.
Well,
I think it was Craig.
How did this even happen?
I think Craig pushed for it.
Yeah, I think the guys in the league who have an open mind, not to just soccer, but all other sports, that they might be willing to invest even just a little bit of time just to figure it out. We're kind of pushing for it. So as soon as a couple people were talking about it, I was like, oh hey, well, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Kevin's being very diplomatic. I'm thinking we somehow gerrymandered it so that I was actually worth 3.5 votes, and then I pulled together people from opposite parties, and we just snuck it through at the midnight hour. But whatever, we're here.
Speaking of gerrymandered, good segue there to Preston, the previous winner of the Bobby Petrino Award, has himself a new gig.
Yeah, and the best part about this gig is that it will force me to job hop again in about 3 months. So I will have a new title, hopefully before 2018 is done. So, some people thought I needed to step up my job hopping game, and let me tell you, I'm just getting started. I mean, this one has a contractual deadline, so I'm really stepping it up.
So those Browns jerseys, Preston, with all the quarterback names in the back? You should get a Colts jersey and get your jobs. Yeah, and then wear it to the summit.
I actually got hired in this job for a certain title, and then convinced them to give me a pay raise and a title bump within the first 8 hours.
Look at you.
So really, I job hopped in under a day, twice.
Well done.
Yeah, and I screwed over dicks, but whatever.
Screwing dicks, huh?
I like screwing with dicks.
Meanwhile, Kevin's been in his role for what, Kev? 3 years, 4 years, 10 years?
I'm starting my 3rd year. Yes.
So disappointing.
University. I know. I can't get on your level, Preston. I
just don't know how anyone can sit still for that long.
But if you count college time, it's 6 or 7, isn't it?
I mean, yeah. If you want to look at it that way, yeah, it's 7, I think. But it's nice to kind of feel like I'm in college, but at the same time, when it's the weekend, I can't really be seen out downtown. I might see one of my interns, and that can get really weird. So I don't like to dabble in that.
If I'm in a job for 7 years, it's because I'm a prisoner of war and I'm being held captive for ransom for the U.S. government. That is the only scenario in which any job I have lasts over 2 years.
What if you were a campaign manager for a presidential candidate that got reelected?
Ooh.
8 years.
Boring.
But I need the tension. I need the possibility that at any moment the voters could say, fuck you, Preston, and then send me back on my ass. I need that tension. By the way, I'm absolutely kidding. It fucking sucks. It sucks to have a job that is manufactured to expire. Yeah, not fun. But I am enjoying it, at least for the time being. And I can't believe I'm putting myself on this show and removing all plausible deniability that I had anything to do with this nonsense, because it might come back. I'm ready for the attack ad that gets run by our opposition saying, her campaign manager is featured on a raunchy podcast about dicks and wieners.
I'm going to title it on YouTube, Campaign Manager Preston Thompson Speaks Out.
Yeah, if she's got solid opposition research, she should be able to find all this crap.
All right, we'll get into the soccer here. I should mention, as we're doing this podcast, in the background, I have on the, I think it's the Wings versus Sun WNBA game.
Woot woot.
The 6 or 7 of us that joined the Fantasy Football Crossover League with the guys a year below us, they said, figure out a way to pick your own draft order. So we all are betting the over-under on this game tonight. I don't know how long the quarters are. I don't know where these teams are located. But they have 80 points at halftime. So I think that means Max would be right on the money if the score holds.
80 points between them, right?
Yeah, total.
Oh, I'm not too far off. I need a high-scoring second half.
Yep. I think you have the highest total.
My sexism showed its true colors by picking the lowest feasible score.
I really figured since you couldn't go over, somebody would just pick 1 point to see what happened, but nobody did.
That's kind of what I went for. I picked something intentionally low, but I'm gonna get screwed for it.
Well, we'll see. It's halftime currently. We'll update everyone after the game, I'm sure. All right. That being said, let's get into some live EPL draft reaction and analysis from our 3 most decorated soccer analysts in the group. I'm going to start off with, I think, the longest tenured soccer fan in Kevin. Kev, what are your initial reactions from the draft?
I'm super excited, guys. I have it pulled up in front of me right now on my phone. Just the amount of exciting players that everybody has. You know, the guys who have a top 4 team. I think they are definitely the guys to be. I'm looking at Tilka, Baxter, Jared, Evan. I think those are going to be the guys to watch out for, but it's going to be super exciting.
You skipped right over me. Like, just walking down the line, then just bunny hopped me straight to Evan.
The reason why is because Megan's a huge Chelsea fan. I just wanted to kind of piss her off.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Oh, God, a rare Megan appearance.
Guest appearance in the
She
podcast.
is real, guys. No, Kevin did not make her up. She is real. We can confirm.
Hey.
I have great sports commentary. Soccer is my life.
You hear it here first, guys.
Yeah, great. Let's go ahead and not have her on as a special guest. I think we'll be fine.
All right, what do you think, Preston? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I didn't mean to say by you skipping over me that I think I'm the favorite to win. I don't think I am. I kind of played this one safe once I figured out how the draft order was going to go. I'm hoping for anywhere between, like, 2nd and 6th. I think Tilka's in a really good spot. Like, all of his weight is on one team, but he picked the best team.
Correct.
And that best team got even better, like, over the offseason. So, like, if Man City wins the league again, he's probably winning this league. Even though he has 2 kind of minor players on their team, like, they're going to both get him, you know, maybe 10 goals, 5 assists, something like that. He's probably going to run away with it. And Fulham's not really a slouch either. So
Well,
I'm kind of hoping that it's more competitive this year.
Well, you would kind of think, looking at his 2 teams and his 2 players, that he would be a favorite. But actually, I don't think so. The 2 players that he got, I think his lack of soccer knowledge is definitely showing itself when he picked kind of 2 midfield playmakers. Not saying that Riyad Mahrez and David Silva are terrible players, because they're not. I personally don't think Mahrez is going to get a lot of playing time in that team. Definitely not as much as he did when he was playing with Leicester. And David Silva goals this year. He might have double-digit assists, but that's not really helping out that much. So I think his X factor is full of how well they do this year.
Yeah, interesting that Tilka picked two players that at times play the same position on the same team.
Exactly, they
That
both
is
play
true.
sort of right center mid. Yeah, Mahrez plays more outside. If they're in the same team, Mahrez is going to score more goals and Silva's going to have more assists. But they can both score goals and dish out some assists.
Yeah. All right, moving to our number 2 pick in the draft. We have Baxter, got Liverpool in the first, Sergio Aguero, Southampton, and then Alvaro Morata with his 4th pick. Preston, what are your thoughts here?
This is a super sweet team. This is probably I don't know, it's kind of like 1B with Tilka, but like he picked the two. I mean, Gabriel Jesus might be over Aguero most of the time, but he picked like historically like what you would think of as two of the bigger scorers in the league. Morata's probably going to have a better year than he had last year, and for that to be his kind of last rounder is pretty crazy. I don't even care about Southampton. Like, I'm not even looking at that. Just the other 3 will carry him alone.
I'm right there with you, but yeah, Southampton is definitely in the picture to get relegated this year. They haven't really made too many big pickups in the transfer market so far. Aguero just scored 2 goals in the Community Shield, so he's off and running. Liverpool is going to finish top 3. And then I'm looking for Morata from Chelsea to have sort of a bounce back season. He was kind of highly touted out of Real Madrid. Started off kind of strong last year, then kind of faded away. But hopefully he stays healthy and contributes to them.
I will say, what's his name? Batshuayi, is that how you say it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Is back at Chelsea. That guy is really good, and I would not be surprised if he starts over Morata for some part of the season.
Well, I agree.
Whether it's like injury or form or whatever, like Bats is like crazy good and had a great time in Germany last year.
Yeah, yes, he did.
And for those that don't actually follow soccer, the Community Shield that Kevin mentioned is a preseason tournament, not a piece of medieval armor.
Yeah. It pits the winner of the Premier League against the winner of the FA Cup the prior season.
It's one of the worst sporting events in the world in terms of what they want you to think it means versus what it actually means.
It's basically
it
like
carries
the NFL
no
Pro
weight at
Bowl.
all.
Yeah.
I'll also mention for Baxter's team, I don't think it's a coincidence that he has Preston's favorite team, Liverpool, and Preston thinks very highly.
I mean, I think Liverpool's a lock for top 4. So really, if his 2 other strikers play the entire year, he's got to be a lock for top 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that's my thinking. But
Moving-
yes, I do have some biases. Yeah.
Moving on to Jared's squad. He has Manchester United. Everyone knows about them. They're always a top 4 mainstay, if not more. Newcastle, kind of a team
Trash.
on the upswing, although Preston says they're trash. His first player was Christian Eriksen, who's not a
Trash.
huge scorer. He's actually awesome. Thank you very much, Preston. But he gets a lot of assists. And then Marko Arnautovic, kind of a
Hot
wild
trash.
card with the last player. He'll disappear for a while, but then score 3 or 4 goals in a game, it seems.
Jared had a great chance to have a great draft, and he totally botched it.
How
I
so?
mean, picking 3rd overall, picks Manchester United, needed to take a player in the 2nd round, was in good position to do it, and just totally botched it. Eriksson will get him some points, but he's going to finish 7th through 9, something like that.
Interesting.
To be honest with you, I'm rooting for Marko Arnautovic this year, as I will explain later. But I do think he's going to be West Ham's league goal scorer. I don't think he's going to get over 15 goals. I'll take between 15 and 10. But he's a really good player. But kind of like what Tilka did, it's like he's not a true striker. He's more like a winger who scores lots of goals. Yeah, I agree with Preston. Sort of the underwhelming squad here. Manchester United, they finished second last year. Yeah, they did. I really can't see them, beating City and being around 100 points. I think they had 81 points last year. I don't think they will get that much past 81.
Well, with the third pick in the draft, I wouldn't expect them to beat City. I mean, I think if they get top 2 or 3, then you're probably talking about a decent pick there, hopefully.
Yeah, I think he gets his worth out of his first round. I'm not arguing that. I think United has to be probably a lock for top 5.
You think the issue is Newcastle, right?
Right. I mean, taking Newcastle at second is kind of outrageous, ridiculous.
Yeah. They finished 10th last year, not terrible, 44 points, especially after, being in the championship the season before. We had a couple good signings this offseason. I do look for them to stay in the Premier League this year. I know they're going to finish as high as 10th, but I do not think they're going to get relegated. Their squad is too strong and their manager is too good.
Sure, but when you compare Newcastle to all of everybody else's second round picks,
right,
it just doesn't look very good. But let's move on.
All right, fourth pick with Preston here, Chelsea, Roberto Firmino, Wilfried Zaha, and the Watford Terriers in the last round.
I thought this went okay for me. I picked 3 safe picks and 1 dangerous one.
Yeah.
Who would you classify as your dangerous one?
Zaha,
yeah.
I mean, he's kind of hot and cold, but he's trying to get a move up to a bigger team. So I think he might have motivation to play really well in the first half of the season, and then he gets bought by Chelsea and maybe scores 4 or 5 more times in the second half.
For the non-soccer fans in the group, Zaha, I would say, is kind of like the Odell Beckham of the EPL. He's on a lower team. He's a crazy athlete, puts up a lot of stats. He's also kind of a weird head case. He was posting some weird stuff on Instagram last week about quitting soccer or something. Nobody really knows what's going on. So kind of a high-risk, high-reward pick there.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to bring up that cryptic tweet that you just referred to, Wick.
Yeah.
Sort of kind of letting everybody know that everything was going to change. And that's whoa, what's going on with this dude? Is he changing clubs? Is he retiring? What's going on?
Yeah, that's certainly my risky pick. I really hated that I had to pick Chelsea, but it felt right to me. I just don't find them very entertaining. I will probably just hope for top 4 out of them and not watch a ton of them.
Yeah, that's
I'm just going to spend my time watching everybody else.
You know what, Preston? Last time they had a brand new manager, they finished very first in the Premier League. So
I knew that. I knew that when I took them. And Chelsea's classic on again, off again. So there's potential, but yeah.
In the preseason, they really haven't been looking that good. But I saw something on Twitter that showed Sarri's, that's the manager's name, by the way, the coach. His first few games at Napoli, I think they all lost, and then they ended up being perennial runners-up to Juventus in the Serie A. So he'll eventually get that team to where he wants it to be. It might take a little bit, though.
Yeah, that's the plan.
All right, fifth pick, Evan Brandon, Arsenal, Kevin De Bruyne, who is a World Cup selection by somebody, Alexander Lacazette, and Brighton and Hove Albion, which is one of the most British-sounding teams in the whole league.
Brighton.
I think the story here for EB has to be his players, not the teams.
Yeah, does Lacazette even, is he going to get a lot of time on the field?
If he does,
that's a good question,
he'll be a great pick. But we'll see.
Yeah, if he starts most games, then I think Evan's in a really good chance here. But I think it's more likely that Craig's pick, who we'll get to later, takes over for Lacazette, and Lacazette is kind of relegated to the bench a little bit.
It depends on what formation Unai Emery goes for at Arsenal.
Yeah,
if they play
and
he's definitely going to play. I mean, you can't not play him. But as Preston said, Craig's guy, I would definitely start Craig's guy over Lacazette. I mean, I'm sorry.
Right, and Evan's pinning 2 out of his 4 hopes on Arsenal, a team with a new manager and kind of a weird set of players that he's going to have to take some time to figure out. I think they don't actually look good until like 10 or 15 games into the year.
Right, yeah. I agree. Yeah, they need to find their mojo with the new manager. I mean, he's a great manager. I mean, they look pretty good in the preseason. They got really good players on their team. They'll see.
If Brighton finishes top 5, I will cook and eat part of my shoe.
All right, mark it down.
Yes.
Mark it down, folks.
Moving on to my squad in the 6th position, Tottenham Hotspur. Wolves were my second pick. Then my players were Leroy Sané and Alexis Sanchez.
Wick, Wolves is a wonderful pick. They're going to do so well this year. They have more Portuguese players on their squad than they have English players, which tells you something.
Yeah, they signed Ronaldo. Everyone knows, so that's good.
They just signed that player from Middlesbrough. What's it? Adama Traore. He had like more completed take-ons in the championship by a country mile last year than the person who finished second. He is a really good player. So that's a very good pick, Wick. I was actually stalking them, but I knew they were not going to fall to me. But oh well.
And obviously, I know all of you in the league know all kinds of info about Adama Traore, so we'll quiz you on that later in the episode.
That's a pretty deep cut, even for this group. I mean,
Kevin's going real inside
analysis.
baseball tonight.
Right. Well, Wick, you're actually my pick to finish third, behind
Classic
combination
Tottenham.
of Baxter and Tilka.
Classic Tottenham.
Well,
I'll take it.
it's just like, yeah, it is classic Tottenham. But I mean, it's good overall. And Leroy Sané is kind of like your, I don't know, could be hot, could be cold, but like he could have one of his, like he could have like a young player breakout season just like he did last year. And he didn't play in the World Cup, so he's like nice and rested. Ready to go.
For those who don't know, I'm a Tottenham fan, so getting my team was very much fun.
Yeah, that's huge.
Similar to
That's huge.
Craig getting the Eagles in the NFL wins pool, except I had the 6th pick and he has the 1st pick, so I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, huge.
All right, speaking of the aforementioned Craig, in the 7th spot, Everton, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, say that 5 times fast, Jamie Vardy, and Bournemouth.
So should Craig have taken a player with his first overall pick instead of Everton?
That's actually a question I brought up during the draft. I thought this was the spot where after the top 6, generally in the Premier League, there's kind of a drop-off. I might have taken a player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it because I've been trying to convince Craig to root for Everton since like sophomore year of college. So when he picked them, I was really happy.
Why is that?
Because I hope this I don't know. He took some like online quiz at some point. Said like what would be your EPL team, and it came up with Everton, and he was like, "Oh, well, I like Tim Howard," but of course Tim Howard's not there anymore. But like, I don't know. It's like they feel very Philadelphia to me. I don't really like Everton very much, but it feels very Craig to me because I don't like him very much.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Kev, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, I really like his selection of players. Jamie Vardy, I think he finished 3rd or 4th in the Golden Boot race last year, the top scorer. So he's going to pile on some goals again this year if he stays healthy. And then Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang might actually win the Golden Boot this year. I think he had 10. I think he had 10 goals in the second half of the season last year. I know he didn't. He was miles behind, but if he's healthy, he's a super dynamic player, and I think he's going to get over. He's going to get between 20 and 30 goals. I'm calling it.
That could totally screw over Evan and his Lacazette pick because Aubameyang's totally going to overshadow everybody else on that team if he starts going on a tear. I couldn't decide on my last pick between Watford and Bournemouth, so I'm hoping my decision there doesn't have Craig just talking a bunch of shit later in the year.
Some of you might recognize Jamie Vardy from the shock 2015 title or 2016 was it, from Leicester City, pronounced Leicester. So you may recall him from a couple years ago if you kind of casually followed the league at all.
Jamie Vardy has one of the most ridiculous biographies. If you're interested at all, go look it up. I mean, just like some run-ins with like Thai prostitutes, and then he worked a grocery line for a bit and was just playing soccer on the weekends and consecutive games with a goal.
He's basically if you took an actor out of the movie Train Spotting and put him in a soccer jersey.
Yeah, no, that's it. We're good.
Yep.
Move on.
Moving on.
Perfect. You don't even have to read the bio anymore. That was perfect.
Max has the aforementioned Leicester City, Harry Kane, who is easily the best player in the Premier League, Gabriel Jesus Jesus, pick how you want to pronounce that, and Huddersfield Town.
You know what, Wick? I'm really curious to see how many goals Harry Kane claims this year to get his tally above Mo Salah at whatever cost. I'm really interested to see how many goals that's going to be.
Well,
Yeah.
Mo Salah kind of cheats because he has an entire continent on his back. Harry Kane
That's true.
doesn't need to cheat like that.
He does have the power of all Arabic peoples with him, so yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw this last year, but when that episode happened where Harry Kane, claimed that goal or whatever, like Mo Salah tweeted like an hour later, like, really, ... And
Yes.
subtweeting the shit out of it. I loved it. Absolutely.
Excellent trash talk.
For those not in the
Amazing.
loop, there was a situation last year where there was a kind of a controversial goal Tottenham scored, who Harry Kane plays for. A couple players tipped it or were very close to tipping it. They gave the goal to Christian Eriksen, who's one of Jared's picks, but the team started a campaign to give the goal to Harry Kane because he was in the race for the Golden Boot. Kind of a silly story, almost as if in the NFL there was a joint caught touchdown, like simultaneous possession, and a team tried to campaign for another player to get the score. Sort of a silly thing for fantasy points, but it was a big story last year.
Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison. Or like if like a player puts up a half-court shot in basketball and a guy goes up for the rebound but kind of blows on it a little bit and it goes in anyways, it's like he's claiming a three-point.
It was a very debatable tip ball situation.
I mean, on the real, Harry Kane is a phenomenal player. He's going to score around 30 goals again. I mean, there's really no sign that he's not going to. Gabriel Jesus, he had a really poor World Cup, so I think he needs to prove himself to the world that he can, get back to that world-class level that he thinks he's at. And then before we move on, I actually did some research, and Huddersfield Town are actually called the Terriers, not Watford.
Yeah, Watford are the Hornets.
What did I say? Oh, that's on me.
Elton
Yeah.
John is a part owner of Watford. I think that's pretty
Well, I'm glad that a nice, active, shit-talky member got Huddersfield Town because they're the only team with an American manager. So I hope Max is like just uber patriotic during the English soccer season. But my prediction for him is that we go into December with him in the top 4 or 5. And then in a huge winter move, Harry Kane gets transferred to Real Madrid and he gets totally fucked.
Yes, that could very well happen.
By the way, I need to issue
I feel bad about it, Wick, but he's pretty much already wearing the jersey at this point.
I need to issue a quick correction. Apparently, I did say Watford Terriers earlier. I was actually referring to the Walford Terriers, a small school in South Carolina. So that's on me mixing up my English Premier League and lower D1 college basketball.
Yeah, fake news.
Classic mistake. Before we move on to Luke here, we'll get this wrapped up pretty quickly. A quick update for all of you who are dying to know. We're late in the third quarter of the WNBA game. Currently, 132 total points have been scored. So we're rapidly getting to Kevin's number.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm about to
was
be
low.
passed over, so
Yeah.
I'm not even concerned
134
anymore.
now. Keep scoring, ladies. Hashtag watch me work.
It's all about the fundamentals.
All right, Luke in the 9 spot. Crystal Palace, Burnley, Romelu Lukaku, and Chris Wood.
Last place. Absolute
Yes.
last place.
100%.
He gets, like, this is the easiest pick for last. So much easier than trying to pick who's going to win is knowing Luke's going to somehow be at the bottom of the table. I mean, like, Crystal Palace, not very reliable. Could be bad, could also not be very good. Those are the two options.
I feel kind of bad for Luke's first pick of Crystal Palace because when we were drafting, he was like, "Is Crystal Palace actually a team?"
Yeah.
And oh yeah, it is. I was like, "All right, is that your team?" I was drafting after. It's like, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever." So I feel
that's his fault.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, he picked them. They're probably gonna. They might get relegated this year. They might not, but they're definitely not going to finish in the top half. I think Burnley is not going to finish in the top half either. They haven't really done that much over the transfer window. And easily the worst player that anyone drafted is Chris Wood. 10 goals, and 1 assist.
Let me give a quick shout out to Luke here. First of all, let's just say Lukaku is the best option of his 4 by far.
He has Luke in the name.
He still might not even play for half the year. So I see what Luke was trying to do, take one of the lesser good teams, but the best player on it. But there were 10 or 12 better ways to do that than fucking going with Chris Woods. I mean, if you throw a pick in there that gets the 3 of us on the podcast going, huh? Then you've done a real number. Because no, there were 12 better picks on the board.
Yeah, after Luke picked Crystal Palace, I had some unnamed group members texting me asking if that was a real team. Somebody thought it was Pablo Escobar's secret drug hideout. Some thought it was Elsa's castle from Frozen, but no, they are actually an English soccer team. Fun fact.
Correct.
They're very fun. They're very fun to watch, and they're entertaining, but they're not very good.
I'm not surprised.
So many better options.
I'm surprised that Craig didn't take them because their nickname are the Eagles.
That's a good point.
All right.
I'll transition us here. I don't know how he picked Crystal over West Ham. I mean, West Ham, every projection I've looked at, is projected to finish a good bit higher.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, that surprised me too. I mean, Andy Reid moving from the Eagles to the Chiefs is basically the story of West Ham.
Okay, show your work.
There's no work. It's a ham that moved west.
Okay.
It was a very, very basic and poorly constructed joke, but that's what happens in live podcasts.
That's true. Okay. So Kevin's team to finish this out is West Ham, Mohamed Salah, a Liverpool player, Raheem Sterling from Man City, and Cardiff City, who he kind of got saddled with at the end. I don't think Cardiff City's the worst last pick to be saddled with.
I think that's a really tough pick in my opinion. I think that's easily the worst team in the draft.
They could be. They did finish second in the championship, but of all the teams that got promoted, I think they've done the worst in the transfer market so far. I did pick the first player off the board, I believe, correct, with Mo Salah?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
If we would have played last year, he was a team. I think he would have 74 points, which would have put him 5th if he was a team. So I'm really hoping he does the same exact thing again this year.
Yeah, I mean, you got some value out of your back-to-backs.
Yeah.
What I'm concerned with is Salah had the best year of his career last year, and Raheem Sterling definitely had the best year of his career last year.
100%.
So you could get stuck with 2 players who are coming off of the best years of their careers and are going to get game planned for and totally locked down.
That's a good point. I'm not talking about Cardiff. My riskiest pick was Raheem Sterling. He had 18 goals, 11 assists last year, which is phenomenal. He had more goals per game than Lukaku, I think. Average goals per game, sorry. But the risky part about it is he just got off of summer vacation, so to speak, after the World Cup. So he probably won't play until the 2nd or 3rd week. He's definitely not going to play this weekend because he only just training. So that's the only thing that I'm kind of concerned about with him. Hopefully he gets the playing time that he did last year and he gets 15 goals, and I'll be happy with 15 goals and 8 assists or 7 assists.
All right. Well, we are over 30 minutes here, so we're going to wrap it up. One thing before we do, I'm going to have all 3 of us, we're going to pick one player you think somebody will switch out in January. You're going to pick your pick for top team in the league and your pick for bottom team in the league. So I'll start. I'm going to say top team in the league will be Baxter. I think the Liverpool-Aguero-Morata combination is going to be pretty strong. Bottom team, sorry, Cav. I think Cardiff, in my opinion, is going to really struggle this year. So I think they bring you down a ton. And then for player to get transferred, I'm going to say Luke's pick of Chris Wood.
So you can transfer a player even if they haven't switched leagues. You
Yes.
Can just,
Correct.
Yep.
all right. I guess I'll go next. I'm going to go first place with Tilka. I think Man City has an equally good year. They maybe don't get to like 100 points like they did last year, like break a record, but they'll get, they'll be competing for first the whole time. For last place, I'm sticking with my guns. I'm going with Luke, and I don't think it's close. I think he comes in last place by like 20.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be very close. And for player getting subbed away, I think Gabriel Jesus is going to take over striker spot for Man City. So I think Baxter might look to make a move and get rid of Sergio Aguero. It's kind of like a hot take, but
Interesting.
they can't play both of them, and Gabriel Jesus looks really damn good. So, yeah.
All right, so I was hoping mine would be kind of different, but I am going to say that Tilka is going to win. Manchester City, a phenomenal team. I do think the team that's going to carry him to first place is going to be Fulham. I think they're going to finish in the top half this year, be around between 40 and 50 points, and I think that's going to be enough to carry him to that top spot. Last place, again, aligning with Preston, I think Luke's going to finish last. His team is not very good, to be honest with you.
Come at me, Luke. Get fucking at me.
And the player that's going to be transferred, I do think Chris Wood is going to be transferred, but I also think that Tilka is going to get rid of Riyad Mahrez because he is hurt right now. And when you're hurt in that team with all those phenomenal players, it's really going to be hard to get established. He's going to get some playing time in the domestic cups, but I don't think he's going to see much playing time in the Premier League, to be honest with you. I'm sorry, but I think that's going to be the deal.
Interesting.
That's a call, and Lacazette for Evans probably going to be gone for him, too.
Yeah.
All right. That about wraps it up for tonight. Any final words, gentlemen?
Roll Tide.
This was like the most I've ever been able to contribute to this group, so I guess see you next year.
Same. First
Nice.
podcast.
Expect the podcast next week. Guests, who knows? We might switch it up some more. And talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.
Peace.